Welcome back to the Hive Doctor Beekeepers. Today I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to transport queen cells from one yard to another without having an incubator. It can be done, and it's pretty simple, and it is actually quite ingenious, something that I'm sure that you would have thought of if given the chance. So stick around today, I'm going to show you how that's done. Welcome back, beekeepers. So this colony right here is a cell raiser that I'm managing at the moment. I've already been using cells out of this in the apiary that I've got here, and I've only got a few more left on one cell bar in here, but I need to take those cells to another yard where they're needed. I did some splits a little while back. Some of them were able to get a queen, raise her to where she's mated and now she's laying. Some of them did not. So I'm going to be using these cells as a way to get those other colonies that did not raise one another chance to do so. But I don't have an incubator, so I've got to figure out a way to get these cells from here to there without one. And the issue is that they could get too cold. Whenever you're transporting queen cells, or even virgin queens in a cage, mated queens, it doesn't matter. They need to be warm enough, but they also can't be cool enough. You can't put them in direct sunlight. It's a really touchy situation. There's a really ideal way to transport these things, but when you don't have the tools to do so, that's okay, because there's another way. Before we get into that, let's just talk about why you would need a cell incubator. Well, brood needs to stay at a certain temperature, and a queen cell is no different. A queen cell is still considered brood. It's baby bees that are developing from egg to larva to pupa, and they need to maintain that 94, 95 degree temperature range in order to cook well, and so that they come out of the oven done and not overcooked or undercooked. If a queen cell gets too cold, the pupa inside will die. She'll come to nothing. She won't ever make it to the point where she'll start chewing her way out of the cell, and you won't know unless you do an inspection and tear the cell open after so many days that it's been when she should have emerged. And the incubator, usually they're automated. Some of them have ventilation, some of them don't. They keep that constant temperature and with other things, humidity, while in transit in your vehicle from going from one apiary site to another. It's a little less touchy with queens that have been mated already, or virgin queens, because then they really just need ventilation and water and attendants to help see that she stays warm if she needs to, or to help fan if she needs to stay cool. And usually that's whenever you order a queen in the mail or something. Getting into my cell builder, what we've got going on in here is I've got two cell bars. One I've already used all the cells on, so we're going to be taking that out today. The other one has, like, I don't know, 3 or 5 on there still. They're all caged, so just in case I'm late in getting to them and the queens emerge as newly emerged virgins, they're contained and they won't annihilate each other, because one of these is destined for the Gilmer County Beekeeping Club. We're requeening an aggressive colony, and so one of the things we get to see today is if they've already started emerging or if they're still in the cell stage, because they're just about due any time now to come forth. But with those two cell bars I'm going to be removing, I'm going to have 2 empty spaces in my deep hive body here. So I've got 2 empty frames to replace those with. One thing that you got to keep in mind when you have a cell raiser, the only reason they're raising those cells is because you created a queenless situation. So one of these queens, whether it's a cell or a newly emerged virgin queen, needs to stay with this colony to kind of pay them back for the work they did, but also to ensure their survival. They're going to need a queen, and by this point they don't have any brood old enough or at the right appropriate age to make their own queen from. So you always want to leave your cell raiser, your builder, with one of the cells. And what's great is that within a few days she will be mated, and within a week hopefully she'll be laying, ideally. We have good weather for that, so it should happen sooner rather than later. It won't be put off by rain or anything. And these are 2 frames that are drawn out both sides, so that'll give her an opportunity to go ahead and begin laying. There's plenty of honey and pollen in this colony. Now they just need brood. One of the best things that you can do for your colonies when you make splits is having that break in a brood cycle to help break up that Varroa mite life cycle as well. I heard a study done once on 4 of the most, I don't know, successful beekeepers, commercial beekeepers. Maybe they were the biggest beekeepers in the US. I don't remember the exact stat, but I remember that all of their mite methods differed, except for one thing. One thing that they all 4 did the same was that they had in their management system a break in the brood cycle. So it's a very effective mite management thing. So when I make my splits and I don't have cells, I just do a walk-away split. I feel good knowing that I'm creating a break in the mite cycle as well. So let's light a smoker and get this colony open and show you exactly what we have to work with today. All right, so the big secret, the big ingenious method that I plan on using to transport these queen cells without an incubator is to make a split. I've brought other equipment that I can split into. Of course, I'm not going to make a split from this one. There's no brood in here from which to make a split. So I'm going to find another colony in the yard here, and I'm going to make a split, a queenless split, and that is going to be my transport for my queen cells from here to the other location. Now, there's only one catch with this particular plan. Although it's great and I'm getting another colony, ideally, with that split, it means I've got to use up another cell. And that's not a problem. It would have been nice had I had more cells to work with. It would have made this move a little bit bigger bang for my buck kind of thing. But that's going to leave me with only 2 cells to divvy up in the apiary where we're going. But I plan on doing another batch or 2 of queen cells. It's still late summer here, plenty of time to get cells raised and developed, and for those queens to have time to mate and get enough brood for our winter bees. So I'm not too concerned at this point in the year. So I'm going to find one of these colonies, make a split into the equipment that I brought, and then I'll show you the transfer of one of these queen cells into this box. In other words, we're going to be leaving one with this, like I said earlier, and then I'll show you how I'm transporting the cell bar from this colony, my cell raiser, into the split so that it can go safely to the next yard. Okay, so we've got 5 ripe queen cells. Now remember, one is going to the local club I'm involved with, Beekeepers of Gilmer County, that's in Georgia. One has got to stay in this colony, and so you always want to keep account of that. So today, what I'm going to do is show you the secret behind transporting these cells successfully and at the exact temperature that we need them to be the entire way there without an incubator. Once we do that system, before we leave today, I'm going to take one of these queen cells. In fact, I will get to show you one. I'm going to take that cage off so that they can raise that queen as soon as she emerges. They'll welcome her. She'll take stock of what she's got going on, go on a mating flight in a few days, and hopefully return pumped up and ready to start building our winter bee population. All right, so here we go. All right, so to catch you up, to tell you what I've got so far, here's my split on the back side here. You'll see that in a minute. It's technically a 4-frame split. I got some honey from one hive, and I got 2 frames of brood and bees from this colony right here. Now, here's the biggest risk by making a split and using it to transport your cells or your queens. You got to make sure that what you made the split from still has their queen. If you accidentally pull the queen and put it in your split, that's going to be no good, especially if your cells are not caged. So that's a bad thing, because the queen will annihilate the cells because she'll see them as a threat to her reign in the kingdom. All right, so I've verified that the queen is in here and that she is staying here. So I can go ahead and shut them up. I've given them frames to replace the ones I took. And at the same time, I get to see how they're doing, and they're doing really well. Food and brood and a healthy laying queen. All right, so with my split, I don't want to smoke them a lot because I don't want the bees to take flight and return home. I have enough for a small split. Ideally, this would be better in a nuke box, but I don't have one with me. So I'm going to do what I can with what I've got. And I can always change that up later. So what I'm doing is I'm removing one frame and then spreading out the rest of these so that I have room for my cell bar to go right in the middle. The middle is going to be the best place for incubating these cells, keeping them warm. In fact, the word nuke, as in nuke box or 5-frame nuke, comes from the word nucleus. The essence, the core of a beehive. All right, there's one frame of honey, one frame of brood, and now I've got a space right here in the middle, as you can see, for my cell bar. Okay, so bringing this cell bar up, you got to do it slowly because the bees are hanging on these cells and it makes it kind of heavy. So what I'm going to do, since one needs to stay here, and I can't put this cell bar in that box and get one of these off, I'm going to pry one of these loose. You notice how I'm holding the bar, it's practically laying on the top bars of this deep. As I pry this loose, it comes loose and it doesn't fall, it just sits right there. Now I can let that sit there while I take these and put them in my split. Just like so. Okay, now they're done. I could put a hive cover on them, but I'm going to finish up my cell builder first. Okay, so we're past the point where these queen cells are super fragile, expialidocious, but I'm going to be extra careful with them anyways. So I need to get this cage off, and the bees have glued it on there. And you see it's on this mounting thing that holds the cup. So I'm just going to pry it and loosen it. Okay, now it's loose. Now I can twist. Oh, okay, there it goes. Twist back and forth. And when it gets loose enough, I'll be able to pull it free without harming the queen cell. Doesn't that look beautiful? That's what you want. Notice all the mottling, a lot of that looks like comb, right? It's not all smooth. When you see an all smooth queen cell, it's usually not a very high quality queen. So we can set this to the side for later use. And what we want to do now is put this in a cell protector. And that's what this is. This makes it easy to be able to put into the colony, secure it to a frame, and protect the cell against our manipulation. It also helps protect in case there's a queen in the colony. It kind of helps protect it from being chewed out of the side and stung by the other queen. So I'm going to go roughly back to the last third of the box. Very carefully press this tab into the comb, kind of bumping it along, making sure that the bees move out of the way because I don't want to squish any of them. And when it's smashed into the comb securely, I look down to see that the queen still has clearance. And you see here, nothing would obstruct her from coming out of the end of that when she's ready to emerge. That's what I mean by having clearance. And you see how it's securely pressed into the comb. Now I don't have to worry about holding on to it anymore. Now I'll show you what to do next. At this point, I just want to give a little bit of smoke to this frame because I'm going to move it. I don't want to move the frame that the queen cell is on. I'm going to bring another frame to it and secure the queen cell in place. Nice, slow, easy maneuver. Gives the bees time to move out of the way, and it doesn't bring the frame in too quickly to where I could like mess up the queen cell or have it accidentally drop. All right, now we brought it to. That was a very passive way of putting this in. Now I can put a frame down in here and finish this up. You would not want to put a frame down in beside the queen cell. It could knock it down. And here's one of the other frames I brought. Nice, even comb. You can even see where they've repaired it with newer stuff. I'm going to face the better comb in towards the center because I want the queen to lay there first. All right, so now it's time to take my split with the remaining queen cells, put a hive cover on them. I'm going to pick this up, go put it on in my vehicle where I've got my bottom board, and I'm ready to go. Now I've got a natural incubator to be able to keep my cells safe. Though, admittedly, one day when I get into the queen rearing business, which is my goal within next year to start doing that in 2025, I will probably make my own or invest into a nice queen cell incubator that I can transport easily in my vehicle and keep my cells right where they should be. If you've got any questions or comments or experiences of your own, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. A lot of other people read those too. I appreciate them. Don't forget to drop me one of these. Tell your friends about the Hive Doctor. And I'll see you guys in the next video.